First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Parents should really be interested in this because, my God, what could be more precious? What do you want to protect more if it's not the brain health of your child?
A report suggests some public schools in Florida have too much lead in the drinking water, signaling a wider need for more testing. That's our top story tonight. I'm Austin Landis.
And I'm Aggie Buedo. WUFT News has been digging into the report by the advocacy group Environment America.
This report comes after the national controversy over the poor water quality allowed in Flint, Michigan. WUFT's Daniela Hurtado spoke with advocates who believe Florida schools may not be fully addressing the issue.
I spoke to Ronald Saff and Donald Axelrod, who conducted tests in 2 Florida counties, Leon and Wakulla. They found elevated levels of lead in all 16 schools they tested. Researchers say these can't be the only 2 counties in the state with the problem. It's just probably the tip of the iceberg.
When children go to school, I mean, they should have their brains protected.
Students across the nation and in the state may be at risk of lowering their IQs. That's one thing some researchers who conducted the lead test, like Dr. Ronald Saff, agree on.
And what we're finding is that they're being exposed to lead, which puts them at risk for developing ADHD, criminal behaviors, cognitive decline.
The study by Environment America suggests there's a problem in the school system statewide.
Right now, we give Florida a failing grade when it comes to lead in drinking water, because current state law requires nothing to prevent children's drinking water from becoming laced with lead at school.
When we reached out to the Alachua County School Board to find out when the last time their taps were tested, spokeswoman Jackie Johnson said, quote, "There is no requirement to test for lead in the school's water." And she's right. In Florida, schools are not required to test for lead beyond EPA's regulations. The EPA's drinking water standard for lead is 15 parts per billion. That standard is known as an action level and only requires test results over that level to be reported. However, researchers question that standard.
15 parts per billion is we'll call it a technology-based standard. It has nothing to do with public health, and it's widely misunderstood. So 15 is not protective of human health.
But the American Academy of Pediatrics says there is no safe level. According to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, the issue of lead is not in the water systems like GRU, who test for lead periodically. But lead can be contaminating water through older pipes and fixtures in the plumbing systems.
We've known lead is toxic for 2,000 years. Why would we use lead pipes? We don't have an inventory of lead water pipes in Florida. We certainly don't have a perfect feel for how many homes or schools have pre-1986 plumbing fittings full of lead. So we're just whistling past the graveyard.
Although water isn't the only way children can be exposed to lead. Lead can be found in dust, gas, and in certain paints. In 2012, the Center for Disease Control tested the blood of 3,605 children in Florida for lead. The CDC found elevated levels of lead in 381 children in Hillsborough County, 282 in Duval, 184 in Polk, and 73 children in Alachua County. All were among the top 10 counties with the most cases.
It's the easiest of the problems. We're all exposed to it. Let's do something about it. Let's do it quickly. Let's get Florida having safe water in schools for our school children.
According to researchers, some of the ways they suggest that lead can be taken out of the water is to flush the water in the pipes, which is a temporary solution, replace the plumbing fittings or the system, but the most feasible way, putting filters at the taps.
Now, researchers say that if you are concerned about lead, that you can test the water yourself, and it's as cheap as $8 to send it to a lab. You just have to get the bottle, put it under cold water, and then ship it to a lab and wait for the results.
I have these lead testing kits, and they're sitting in my office. I would love to give them away to people and have them test for lead in their homes or their schools.
As for all the school districts in Florida, Dr. Sav and Axelrod say they're ready to act on the problem.
As for schools in Alachua County, GRU reached out to us and said the utility is now working with the school board on a plan to test the water in schools. They did tell us a year ago that they replace lead pipes when they're discovered. For more information on the report or how you can take action, visit WUFT.org.
Thank you, Daniela. And we have new developments on our story about whether people should avoid splashing or exploring in the waters of Hogtown Creek. The city of Gainesville closed park access to the creek after testing found fecal contamination. Warning signs were placed in Alfred Ring Park. Steps will be taken to eliminate as much pollution as possible, but officials say you'll be taking a chance almost any time you touch that water.
The fact is, these are urban creeks. They're really just never going to be safe to go in as people because they're in an urban setting and there's a lot of pollution sources.
Public service announcements are in the works to inform the public about ways to reduce contamination. The high levels of bacteria are coming from many different sources. Stormwater pipes connected to the creek bring in rainwater filled with contaminants. Animal waste and old septic tanks also add bacteria. And protesters expressed their disapproval of the Sable Trail pipeline again today in Dunellen.
But today they say they were protesting for something bigger than the pipeline, the loss of a Floridian who may have been outraged over the issue. It's been 1 month since Jim Marker was shot and killed by deputies in Citrus County. They say he didn't surrender when chased down after putting bullets through the pipeline.
That's right, Aggie. Marker was a military veteran, a father, and protesters say he was a community activist. Protesters demonstrating their disapproval of the Sable Trail pipeline is now a familiar story in Marion County. But today they had a new focus, the man killed by deputies who was accused of shooting up this segment of the pipeline.
The pipeline is methane gas.
Those are the main topics of protest at the Sable Trail compressor station in Dunellen. Today, people gathered to remember the officer-involved shooting death of Jim Marker. 1 month ago, deputies responded to shooting damage, which led to a high-speed chase and confrontation.
They've searched high and low for something bad to say about him, and they haven't found it.
FDLE is still investigating the incident, and officials say they don't yet know whether Marker was ever a protester.
How could you not feel that enragement? And, you know, he felt compelled to do something, and we're definitely here to honor that.
The Sable Trail pipeline is set to go through Dunellen a total of 7 times. Right here on State Road 200, residents are seeing a bulk of the work being done.
Years from now, when people are hopefully breathing fresh air and drinking fresh water, they are not going to remember the tactics used to stop this pipeline. They are only going to be thankful that tactics were used to stop this pipeline.
I think we are the light at the end of the tunnel. We right here, I think we're sparking up change and we're a growing community.
Protesters say they believe Marker must have been a passionate environmentalist.
If you could say one thing to Marker, what would it be?
Thank you.
People gathered yesterday at the Withlacoochee River to sing songs and share stories in Marker's honor. Live from the newsroom, Alexa Lorenzo, WUFT News.
Thank you, Alexa. Well, it seems like it just keeps getting warmer, doesn't it?
Right, and we haven't seen rain in a while. WFT's Amanda Hawley joins us now from the Weather Center. Amanda, how long is it going to stay dry like this?
Well, right now we've got high pressure and control across the southeast, and that means for the most part we will see showerless days and warm days continue, and we've certainly seen that today, although we do have a couple showers on storm track radar this evening west of the I-75 corridor. I do think those will stay there, and they will stay light and brief throughout the rest of the evening. There they are on storm track radar. There just a couple of brief spotty showers popping up and dissipating rather quickly. Tonight, though, it will remain comfortable and most areas will be dry. Temperatures will fall into the mid-60s by 10 p.m. and then into the upper 50s by the time you step out the door. But patchy fog will also be likely in some areas, especially if you're in the Panhandle up near Live Oak and Perry. Here in Alachua County, patchy fog is possible as well as in the surrounding areas, but not as prevalent. Coming up, though, I will have more information on the numbers that we will see during the afternoons later in the week. Back to you.
Thank you, Amanda. A missing child alert in Alachua County was quickly solved, with the teenager being found in Daytona 2 days later. But there's a wrinkle in the case, which WUFT's Stephanie Byrne has been exploring.
The question is how the teenager managed to travel there. The sheriff's office says he took an Uber ride. According to ASO, the teenager left, quote, concerning messages, unquote, which is why he was considered missing and endangered. ASO tracked a PayPal account to confirm the Uber ride, and a deputy was able to speak to the Uber driver.
The driver was very cooperative, very cooperative with our deputy that contacted him on Saturday late afternoon, early evening, and we were able to get a lot of information as far as where he was picked up, what time, where he was dropped off, and conversation that occurred on the way over.
According to Uber's company website, only adults can have an Uber account. Children must be accompanied by a parent or guardian. However, the policy states that in some cities, teenagers between the ages of 13 and 17 may ride an Uber without an adult if they have a teen account connected to a family profile. And with a teen this age, 16, his parents riding alone may not have stood out to the driver. I spoke with a representative from Uber, and she says a recently launched teen Uber rider program is not yet available in Florida.
Thanks, Stephanie. The Alachua County Housing Program is now offering help to people who cannot afford to repair their homes. The State Housing Initiative's Partnership Program, or SHIP, is available to help with roofing, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems, and more. The Housing Program Manager hopes to receive a budget of around $2.5 million from the state for the next year. People can apply based on how much money they make each year.
A lot of people think that it's just another handout or another program for low-income families who don't want to work, but these are everyday working people.
We actually have a Fair Housing Expo presented at Alachua County Commission meeting tomorrow. Applications for the program are open until April 21st.
WUFT News First at 5 is just getting started.
Coming up, find out how the Marion County Sheriff's Office taught the community what to do in situations of domestic violence.
Plus, we'll tell you which classic comeback took the top spot in the box office this weekend.
Across the southeast right now. Coming up, I've got the details on how hot temperatures will get for the rest of the work week.